All right. Good morning to everyone. Good morning, Marisol.
Sandy, I can't
Let
hear
me
you
see.
that well. Is your volume up? Let me make sure my
It
volume.
is. Let me see if I can. I might have to put in my headset.
Okay, that's better right there if you did something different.
And let me see if I can switch my audio.
Okay.
All right. How is this? Is this
Oh, that's
better?
much better.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Good morning to everyone on the line and those who will be listening to the recording afterwards. We are conducting a series today on uh, getting more familiar with the curriculum called Sonlight Education Ministry. And so we'll go ahead and begin with a word of prayer and then we'll get into it. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so
Sandy, so sorry I muted everyone and you're muted. Can you hear me? I'm so sorry.
wonderful. Well, yes, so Lord, we thank you so much.
I can't search the web on Apple Watch.
For this opportunity to be able to come together and learn. We ask that you would ennoble our minds to be able to understand. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and begin by sharing my screen. We are going to discuss a little bit about the history of Sunlight. All right. Okay, so Sunlight began quite a few years ago by a lady, Mrs. Cook, Jean Cook, and since then, the course Sunlight has gone from being a business that was shipping and mailing materials out to everyone, and they have since stopped that business, and it is available for free and accessible to everyone through their website. And so we have a wonderful opportunity to be able to access this free resource, and we're so excited about it. And I know some of the challenges with understanding how to navigate the drive. And so today we're going to spend some time understanding what is in the drive. But before I do that, I just want to read this to you because we have a opportunity to move away from what I would consider like a Greek mindset and moving closer towards a Hebrew mindset. And so I'm going to read this quote, and you may be familiar with this quote. It says, "True education means more than the perusal of a certain setting. It means more than the life that now is. It has to do with the whole being and with the whole period of existence possible to man. It is the harmonious development of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual powers." And it's really good to begin with that foundation because we are now shifting from what would be considered a Greek mindset, which is knowledge or the mind, to a Hebrew mindset, which is more concerned with doing and the practice of it. And so we are talking about developing not only the mind, body, and the soul, the spirit. Okay. So with discussion on what this means, because it does take a shift in being able to do that. And so our outline for today's meeting is we're going to discuss it, or we'll try to within our app. And we're going to start with, where do I begin? A lot of people, when they begin with Sonlight, are trying to understand and say, wow, this is really great. It is Bible-based. It has the spirit of prophecy. It sounds really good, but I don't know how to use it. And if you are not able to utilize something, even if you can access it, then it's not meaningful. And so we're going to start. And so under where do I begin, we're going to talk about how to access Sonlight. Many people may not even know how to access it, how to use the Google Drive, and then we're going to talk about the roadmap and routes. And that is really the starter guide and how to use Sonlight. And then, of course, that's very important in transitioning you from a typical Greek mindset, which many of us are familiar with, and what is our predominant society today. That's how we have come to understand. And so the 10 principles of true education give us a great roadmap and help us to understand the principles of true education. All right, and then we're going to go into the different curriculums that you would use. The first one is the resource from birth to around 7 or 8 years old, and that's known as the Family Bible Lessons. And then we're going to talk about the resource that you would use for an older child around 8 years old and moving upward. And that's called the Desire of All Nations curriculum. And if we have time, we'll go into some of the supplemental resources, which are really awesome in the Google Drive. If not today, maybe in a future meeting. So one thing we want to make sure you are aware of is we're not going to be able to cover everything in the today. And so kind of look forward to some of the future meetings that we're going to have, be able to go deeper. And so right now, the objective of this meeting is really to become more comfortable with what is in the Google Drive and being able to access it. So we're going to do some toggling between the PowerPoint and the Google Drive and getting you more familiar with what you're looking at. Okay, so the first thing is how to access the Sonlight curriculum. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to the website, and once we're on the site, we're going to find out how to get into the Google Drive. And after we do that, we are going to walk through how to use the Google Drive. And I'll be screen sharing and exploring the Drive with you, identifying the really important folders and just showing you where like some of the supplemental resources are. And through that, you kind of get a feel for the macro view of what's going on. And then I'm going to allow Kenya to go through a little bit about the roadmap and route. And this is really your guide to getting started. Okay, and so I'll go ahead and share. Let's see if I can share. And then I'm going to share my desktop so that you can see the Drive. And if you have questions throughout, you can answer questions in the chat, or if you know how to raise your hand, or you can just come off mute and say that you have a question. Okay. All right. So hopefully everyone is able to see my screen. Now you should be looking at the home page, Education Ministry, which is sonlightheducation.com. And once you are on the home page, you can get to the curriculum by clicking the hyperlink right underneath the logo. So before we click on this curriculum and go into it, I just want to show you what you can access a little more specifically. So if you hover over curriculum, you're going to see a breakdown of parents and teachers, which is going to tell you how you can be educated in homeschooling and answer some of those questions that you might have. And then your different ages, the preschool age 8, which includes language, and then the 2 through 8 program and above. And so you can go in here and be able to explore. I'll just give you an understanding of different things, and I like that they break it down for you. And so you can say, we're just going to click on curriculum. Now I have these up so that we don't take some time. I'm in the country, so my internet is not that great. So I tried to open these up for you. So here we go. So once you are inside the Google Drive, yes, can you hear me?
Is it possible for you to call in on your phone for the audio?
All right, so I'll go ahead and mute myself from here. Okay, let me know if this is better.
That is better.
It is better. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So so now we are in the Google Drive. Once you're in the Google Drive, you're going to see some folders that are at the top. This is where the majority of your main curriculum is going to be housed. And then you'll see some free floating files at the bottom. This is supplemental resources that you might be able to use. And we'll go over that at the end if we have time. And I encourage you to just take some time opening files and finding out about gems that are there. So this first folder right here, it says start here. This is where the roadmap and route is found. And we're gonna go into that more. The next folder that you see down is the family Bible lessons. And we're gonna go into that as well. And so the family Bible lessons is where you would teach your family. It goes through the Bible in 3 years. Over here where you see the 2 through 8 grade lessons, this is the curriculum that you would use for the older child. So this would be the child from about 8 years old and up. And can I just say, this is a curriculum that you're going to be using as well. As we read about true education, it's not only the development in childhood, it's the development over the course of the entire existence, which means you're going to be learning in heaven, right? And so this program right here is within the 2 through 8 grade lessons. And lastly, the last one I wanted to highlight for today is the 10 Principles of True Education, which is going to be the course that you would take as a parent in understanding more about what is true education and helping you to get a better understanding and a better idea. All right, and so now that we've gone through the 4 main parts that's inside this drive, I'm going to go ahead and open up. We would click on start here and we'd be able to go into the roadmap and route. They do give you the permission to print. Everything in here is free and accessible. And so that's those documents right there. So your main document that you'd want to click on is this first one that says catalog, roadmap, and route, okay? And so we're gonna go right into the roadmap and route, and this is what it would look like when it opens up. And now I'm gonna see if Kenya is on, because she's gonna go ahead and tell you the main parts of this roadmap and route and get you more familiar with it.
Yes, Sandy, I'm on. But before we continue, could you please go back and just show how to get to the Google Drive from the Sonlight Education Ministry website?
Perfect. Okay. All right. So we are at Sonlight. I just typed in sonlighteducation.com. And now I'm on the main website. When I go to the main website,
Cindy, you need to reshare your screen to show, because right now we're looking at the roadmap. So you have to do a new share to go back to the Sonlight. There you go.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share. I'll just share my desktop, and that way we won't have that challenge.
Okay, yeah, you
so
can share the entire screen and then it'll keep up. If you just share the page, you have to share the page every time.
right. Okay, yes. All right, so I'm sharing my desktop now so that you can see everything. And so
And we
I
can see
just
it.
perfect. I just typed in sonlightheducation.com. I'm on this homepage. And next, I'm just gonna scroll down to right underneath the logo, and I'm going to see this hyperlink called curriculum, and I'm going to click on that. Once I click on the curriculum, it's going to take me right to the Google Drive. And so when you are
Sandy, if you hold on just a second, I will circle it so they can see it. Hold on, let me get my pen and I will circle it. Okay, so we're right here, is that right?
Yes, we just clicked on curriculum. Oh yeah, so that was the previous page, good. And now that we clicked on curriculum, we are here. We see that they're updating the site more to get a more organized method. So this is gonna continue to get better. And so here you're gonna see Google Drive. This Google Drive is hyperlinked so that you can access it directly, okay? So, so once you click on this Google Drive, it's gonna take you right into the folder that we were just looking at. So we're gonna go ahead and click on that now. And that's gonna take us right in there. Does anyone have any questions so far about what we talked about? Okay, I just checked the chat. I see. Okay, so I think we are doing good so far. So now we're opening up the drive. And so while that's opening, you have the capacity to search within this drive, and which is really great. And so right here at the top, you can search. You can search for whatever you're looking at. So if you wanted to just find out about the family Bible lessons, you would just go ahead and click on this and be able to type in any part of the word family. Right now, we're going to go to the roadmap and route. So I'm just going to type road and see if that helps me to find what I'm looking for. And sometimes you might have that where you say, man, I really had a really great resource on the apostles, but I can't remember where it is. And so you can just type it in up there and you'll be able to access it. And so hopefully that gives us more of an understanding of how to use the Google Drive and get more access to those 4 things that are really, that's like the meat and potatoes. The roadmap and route gets you started. The family Bible lessons is what you would use, and we'll go over that some more for the teaching the Bible. And then the Desire of All Nations, which says the 2 through 8 grade lesson. That is your curriculum for the older child, that's 8 and above. And then lastly was the 10 principles of true education. And that one went into how you, the parents, can understand more about true education. All right, so those are the 4 things that we covered as far as the Google Drive and the most important things that you want to know how to access. And the reason, so we're gonna go right into that roadmap and route, and then we'll just click on that, and it will pull up the roadmap and route. And so I'll go ahead and have Kenya. Now, Kenya, do you want to share your screen or you'll work from my screen?
It will be easier if I share mine.
Okay, sure. All right, I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay. We can see the
Oh, hold on, Kenya. I think I muted you by mistake. I thought I made you co-host, so you shouldn't be muted. Go ahead and unmute yourself. There was a lot of background noise, so I muted.
okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Okay, so this document here is very important if you have not, if you're seeing Sonlight for the first time, this is a great place to start. So it kind of juices everything down and explains how the whole curriculum works and what you can expect as you go, as your children grow and as as the curriculum is moving forward. It also explains a little bit about the why. It gives a good explanation about the Hebrew system and the Greek system that Sandy was just talking about. And I have to say, I had to read this maybe once or twice. There is a lot of information, so it's several pages. You may not go through it all at once. But I think if this is your first time around, it is important to just sit, read it through, and then you may come back later and read the sections that are relevant to you. And I'll show you how the sections are organized. So, like Sandy said, this is a Bible-based curriculum, and one of it is the difference between this curriculum and many others out there is that it is Christ-centered, Bible-centered. So it would be very different. It looks very different from what you experienced as a child going through to school. For me, I did go to a Christian school.
Kenya, I'm not sure if you're still speaking. I'm not able to hear you. And your audio is a little choppy.
Kenya, can you type in the chat if you can hear us?
I apologize. It seems like I got cut off. Can you hear me better?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay. So give me a minute to share my screen again.
There's some feedback though. Are you on two devices?
Yes, and I muted one.
Did mute one? Did you mute both the Zoom audio and the audio on the device? Sometimes you have to mute both of them.
Is that better?
That is much better.
Sorry about that. So we can continue. Can you see my screen?
It's loading. There it is. I can see it now.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's go through this. This curriculum will look very different from what you're used to because everything is centered on the Bible. And the methodology is different from what we experienced. So I encourage you to just take some time and go through this document. It does give a good explanation as to why this method and how. So the Bible is central. I'm not going to go through the information here. There's a lot and we have a short time, but I'm just going to give you highlights. So as you start, it explains why the Bible is central and how everything is centered on the Bible. I used to ask myself, how do you teach using the Bible? But we have read from the book Education that the Bible has everything to interest the mind. You know, history, science, even government, regulation of your household, everything is in that Bible. And as you study through the curriculum, it teaches you how to study the Bible to be able to pick out those gems. So this is an interesting read. We will start with some advice, I guess, for the teacher. As a parent, one thing you want to know about this curriculum is that it's about heart education and not just book learning. One of the things you will notice is the information that is there. Okay, some people who have seen, gone through the curriculum, the first thing they ask me is, my children are not doing enough work, because we're so used to having our children with, you know, loads and loads of textbooks and loads of homework. That's not the focus of this curriculum. Yes, they will learn the facts and yes, they will learn the figures, but the focus is the heart. And so you will notice that there is a good balance between the character development and the book learning. Also, you will find that the teaching is a lot through life experience. So we are learning, we are living what we are learning, we are modeling it. So what I have experienced is my son is learning and I'm learning too. And it's fascinating. So we are learning together, we are growing together. And in the process, we are finding strength. I'm finding strength and confidence to know how to teach him. Let me give just another quick one of the other things about this curriculum is, or differences, it's for all ages. You can have multiple ages and using the same resources, and the information there will be able to reach the very young and the older ones. We see a good example of this when you're studying the family Bible lessons. They have a lot of information that can grasp the mind of the adults, and also it's simple enough for the children to be able to follow and understand. Again, it's Bible-centered. The aim is character building. And a very interesting piece here is how we apply what we learn. So there needs to be time as you're studying, as you're learning, to go and apply what you're studying and what you're learning. So there is an emphasis in application, in useful work, in labor, and that application is not, it's different from how we did, I guess it's very different from my experience in school. So we would do practical work, but we did it in a vacuum. It was just to do an experiment. But the curriculum encourages you to apply and touch somebody else's life. So it's for service. It's not necessarily for our own gain, but to serve and help others. So these are some tips about this curriculum. there is a page here that talks about this in depth, so you can go through that. That's that page I'm showing there. And we are recommended as parents, especially new to homeschooling, to take the 10 principles of true education course. Sandy is going to talk more about that. It's a foundational course to learn how to teach from the Bible. So we will learn from the Bible and we learn how to teach from the Bible. Okay, now their contact information there. They do mention here that, like Sandy did, all the material is free. We can print it out, we can use it. What a gift. And we can share it with others. But they do caution not to sell it. So it's freely given, we've freely received, we can freely give. And if we want to donate, their information is right there.
Kenya, if I can just insert that a couple of the counselors are working on having some of the printed materials available. And so I will update as those materials come available. But there has been such a request for materials that are already printed that there is a process in the works right now for that to happen.
Great, that would be very helpful. Thank you. Now, the roadmap, now we are at the table of contents. So this is just explaining what to expect from this document. And I will just do a quick overview of the introduction. Now, the introduction basically is giving us, it's a Bible study of Timothy. And we're learning the lessons that he learned and how he learned them. So take the time to go through that piece. I like the way it's organized, and I'll show it to you in a few minutes. So it's an introduction that shows how you can pick out lessons from the Bible. And it's very encouraging, and it will show you, and the same methodology that you use to pick out those lessons in that introduction, you will see it repeated over and over as you study the other lessons. Then this document goes into now the curriculum. There's an overview it will show us, and we will start with, of course, the group age from birth to 7 years, and then the 8-year-old program, and later the older years. So like I said, you can see there's a lot of information here. When I started reading this, Michael was only 3.5. And none of this, I mean, I think until page 14, that's where it was relevant to me. But I took the time and went through the whole document just so that you can have an idea of how this plays out as your child grows. And then that initial read was enough. And then I now go back to where it is relevant. So that's just the contact page. And then let's move on to the meat. You'll always find excerpts from the Bible, like this wonderful excerpt here, Psalms 119, very encouraging, and you will see that throughout the curriculum. This is the article I was mentioning about Timothy, and as you read it, they have questions, so go through it, read, answer the questions yourself as the teacher, and then as you continue, you will start to understand how to pick out lessons from the Bible. So if you use that same method when you're studying your Bible or you're studying any of your children's lessons, and they'll always have questions such as these, and the answers are pulled out very simply from the reading. This reading is very encouraging. It teaches us the lessons of the Bible, that they have a moral and a religious influence upon the character as they are wrought in the practical life. And the reading also shows us that Timothy learned these things. He didn't just know them, and he practiced them. So it's encouraging for us to know if we learn them, we teach them to our children, and we practice them in the home, they can also wrought a change in our lives. Now, that's that whole article. Let's keep moving. And the questions, the answers to the questions are right there for your help. So here we have an overview of what the education for the parent looks like. So this is the course that we just mentioned, the 10 principles of true education. And Sandy will talk more about this. It's a very extensive course, fundamental to not just using Sonlight, but to teaching our children in the right way. There are some books that are suggested here that we should read as parents to increase our knowledge and understanding of why true education in the first place. Of course, the book Education by Ellen G. White, the book Living Fountains or Broken Systems by E.A. Sutherland, Studies in Christian Education, A Place of the Bible in Education, Exercise and Work, that is a brochure that you would find in the Sonlight Drive, Studies in Character Building, Gentle Measures is also a really, really good book. You'll find it in the Drive. I think Sandy had shared it in the group not too long ago when we were discussing obedience and discipline. Happy Hours at Home, Daniel and His Education. So these are books. Some of them you will not find in the Google Drive. I think the first 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the rest are in the Google Drive. Most of these you probably have read already or are reading them right now. So here is the curriculum. We start with the birth through, so it says it covers birth through adult, and that is so true. You will notice as a teacher, you will be learning a lot through this curriculum. This document is divided by the sections depending on the grades. There's the birth through 7, and then the grade 1, which is the 8-year-old program, and then the grades 2 to 8, and then the high school grades and the college. So depending on where you, what's relevant for you, you might just want to go to that particular section. And in every section, okay, so here's the outline of the program for birth through age 7, and Sandy will talk more about this. The program uses the Family Bible Lessons as the main resource. And there they will learn Bible, science, nature, and character. And that's from the babies to preschool. And the program does not recommend that we start teaching our children how to read and write at this juncture. So it recommends to teach using life experiences, using work, going out in nature, reading out loud to them, and answering their questions, but not necessarily pen and paper. So pen and paper starts at about age 8, where you, depending on your child's abilities, the section they call the first grade. And at that point, the Family Bible Lessons are still going on. You're still having Bible, science, nature, and character building. However, you've added a language program. Now, this is when the child starts to read, to learn to read, to spell, to write, to communicate. And the emphasis here is to spend a good year or longer, depending on your child, to develop a good foundation of communication. Without good communication, the child will not be able to comprehend much what he is going to be learning as he goes ahead. I've also noticed without good communication, you won't be able to understand, so you're probably not comprehending, but you can't share it, you can't say what you're learning. So it's important to just pay attention, take some time, and help the child learn how to read, how to comprehend, how to share what they're learning, explain. So this also this also reaches the, well, Sandy will talk more about that, but communication in general is very important, and it's important to spend some time on this. I'm saying this because my experience in learning English was very different. It was hurried, and it was just piecemeal as I was going through the grades, as I was going up through the classes. And I really didn't enjoy it. And I came to learn more about a better language, or a command of English as in college, actually. And so I see the science in this. Take some time, let the child understand how to communicate well before you introduce the other difficult subjects. And then the other subjects are introduced after age 9, and Yolanda will talk more about that. So this document just simply, as you can see, it's a very simple, it shows the program in a very simple way. And you can know where you lie, where your children fall, just by looking through there. Now the sections, I won't go through all of them because they're kind of divided in the same way. So I'll just show you one section. This is the first section 1, where we have the babies to 7-year-olds. It starts with, of course, the how to teach the preschool program. And this information here is for the parent. There's a lot to unlearn here and read and learn anew. So I would encourage you to read through this. And then here it will explain the resources. So as I'm teaching my child what resources in the Google Drive can I use. So from birth to 3-year-old, you have the Little Children Bible lessons. From 4 to 6-year-olds, the Family Bible lessons. And there are pictures there to show you, at least to give you an idea of what you will be printing out. So there's an activity book, the Children's Activity Lesson. And that's a book that the older children can use to reinforce what they're learning in the Family Bible lessons. But your manual, your teacher's guide, is the Family Bible lessons. And you'll see that on the Google Drive. They always come together. So it's the Family Bible lessons, the Children Activity lessons, and the Little Children Bible lessons. So once it has explained the resources that you will need, it gives you a schedule of what those lessons look like. And for the Family Bible lessons, they're divided. They're 3-year lessons. In 3 years, you go through the whole Bible. Each year is divided into 4 quarters. Each quarter has a specific unit, nature study. So as you can see, quarter 1 there for year 1, we're learning about trees. Year 1, quarter 2, insects. The next quarter, flowers, and so on and so forth. So in 3 years, you have gone through a whole lot of facts about nature and very interesting information. We love these lessons. Then the section will continue and give you a little more. This is now giving you a little more of what is it about trees you're going to learn. So every week, there's a new topic on that you're learning. So week 1 here, what is a tree? Week 2, kinds of trees. And the nature lesson is in tandem with the character quality lesson, and the Bible lesson. So everything gels very well together. You study the Bible, you have a Bible story, there's a spiritual lesson, and then when you're studying the nature and you go out, you will see the spiritual lesson in nature. It works so well together, and it helps reinforce what you're learning. That's how this curriculum is set out. A little more about how to work with younger children, a little more advice here. I would suggest just go through this information. Very good information. Some more supplemental resources. These can be found in the Google Drive. And you may need them at different points. It depends on the ages of your children. So they're the ways to help your children become better readers, travels of the Advent people. These are all in the Google Drive. Now you don't need all the resources at the same time. So when you need them, you know where you can get them, but don't get overwhelmed. You don't need all of them at the same time. Practical suggestions for teaching obedience for the very young. For the very young, we find that without obedience, you're doing nothing. There's no school, there's no lessons going on there. So it's an important character quality to understand and to know how to teach. So they've taken some time to go through that here. Wonderful read. I encourage you to go through it and read it. I've had to come through and read this several times when I when I have challenges with my child. After that, there's a daily schedule for this group for the babies till 7 years old. So this is just a suggestion. We've gone through scheduling the boot camp, so we now understand how important a schedule is. These are wonderful pointers here. When I started, I just took this and tried to make it my own. And over time, we have tweaked it as we go. This is a wonderful template to use. The 8-year program will go through this. In this document, every program will have the same thing. So there's the why, we're teaching in this way, and the resources that you are supposed to use. So the first grade program, as I explained, is still the family Bible lessons, but you add the language program. So it explains here the resources that you're going to use, where you can find them, supplemental resources you can find in the Google Drive. And that's there, the fast reader, Psalms 23 for children. Those are supplementals which you can find in the Google Drive, a suggested daily schedule, and so on and so forth. So you'll find, and here principles of reading, basic principles of reading. So every section is kind of organized in the same way. It's a long document. Take the time to go through it, and maybe one time through it, and then you come back to your relevant section, depending on the age of your children. I'll stop there. Are there any specific questions on this? I'm just scrolling so you can see what else is in the road, the map. Let me see, are there any questions?
May I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes. I would like to give a little bit of my experience with this, in a sense of, like you said, something very important: don't get overwhelmed. This is a lot of material, but this gives you also the opportunity to choose according to your child or child's, because your homeschooling is going to be unique. because if you have one child or 3 child, it's going to be completely different story. And also if how old they are, and this everything is going to make it different. So basically the beauty of this curriculum is that you have a lot of material that you can implement according to your own situation. So don't feel overwhelmed that you have to complete it in certain time even, because in the beginning we have the idea that you have to follow like the 3 years. 3 years. This is the optimal thing to cover the 3 years of the family Bible lessons. But not always is going to happen like that. Sometimes it will take a little bit more, depends with things are happening, how the children are learning, or the opportunities you have to apply these things. So just don't get stressed with that. And because the important thing is that the child, you're building his character, that the child is happy, he is developing spiritually, physical, and intellectually. And this curriculum is very wholesome. Is really amazing. So just I wanted to give that, because to me it happened that I was many times I felt overwhelmed, like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I'm late in this, and so just don't do that. That's what is my opinion and what happened to me. I don't know, maybe I'm saying something not good, but that's what I wanted to share, because for you not to suffer with this. That's what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Abigail. That's really good advice. And as we're going through this document, as you can see, it's 108 pages. So I don't expect you to go through it all at once. But the contents page gives you a good idea of how it's organized, so you can go directly to one section. And also the way they've organized the sections is very similar from one to the other. So you kind of understand how it flows once you've gone through one section. And also just the objective was to let you know what is in this document and how it can help you. If you want to know what resources are there for a particular age, you can go directly to this document first and see it explains it very well. If you want to know after my section is over, what's next, then you can go and have a peep of what's next, and then you can start probably preparing yourself slowly. Why are we doing this and not this? It gives really good explanation at every stage. So this document is really kind of the go-to to just to help you understand how the whole program is organized. And so I just wanted to show you the document, and so you have a feel of how to navigate through it. And I hope now you are. And I'll now let Sandy take over. I think, unless there's anything else, Sandy, you wanted me to go over.
That was great, Kenya. Thank you. As I'm speaking, I realized that this is probably about the second or third time it came up, but there might be a benefit to having a collective of those who are able to speak Spanish and those who are bilingual, because there's a couple people that are like, Abigail, I need to speak to you to be able to navigate through this. And so that might be an opportunity in the future to have a collective of individuals that are a little bit weaker on speaking English. And I know there's a translation section within Sonlight, but I don't think it's built out yet. And so there might be some opportunities there. And Julie is saying in the chat, yes, please. And so, all right, so we'll go ahead and continue here. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and so we can see kind of where we are. You know, okay, so we just finished the roadmap and route, and hopefully you get to go in there and check it out. And really, you have a lot of questions that you have right now. As you go through, you're going to find those questions starting to lessen, but maybe other questions coming up. And so take opportunity to write those down, because we'll be having more and more sessions. So this is kind of like the bones, right? The law. And we're getting like the foundation, and then we're going to start to add onto that. So look forward to more sessions where we get a little bit more detail. So now we are going to talk about the 10 Principles course. This is what it looks like on the cover. And I'm going to take you to the drive so that you can see what's inside. Now, this can feel overwhelming when you first open it. For those who have opened it and saw that there's 10 in the content section. Hopefully you can still hear me. Things started to can everyone still hear me?
Yes.
You can, okay. Can you see my screen as well?
No.
Okay, all right, let's see if I can go ahead and share my screen again. Okay, so there's 10 principles, just like the 10 commandments. And so I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. Well, actually I shared my desktop, so I'll go ahead and show you inside the drive now and how to access that. We're also going to, let me go over this really quickly, because we're going to stay in the drive after the 10 Principles of True Education course, and I'm going to show you how to navigate the family Bible lessons. So we already covered just in brief a little bit about the family Bible lessons, that it has within there the actual family Bible lessons, which teaches the entire family, Bible, science, which is considered nature, and the character qualities. And it will go through these each week, and deepening your impression about a certain topic throughout the course of the 3 years. It's really great. And then it does have a day-by-day layout. And so for us who have come from a previous background, this is really helpful, because you know what you're going to do each and every day. And so usually the parent can go through the conflict series, which is Patriarchs and Prophets, Prophets and Kings, Desire of Ages, Acts of the Apostle, and the Great Controversy. Along with it, it tracks it the same way through the Bible for further study. And they do have a section in there that I'll show you that is an extra reading for the parent, usually a paragraph or two. And so each booklet that you have will cover about 3 months. And I'll show you what it kind of looks like. The children's family Bible lessons is from birth to 3 years old. This is a very simplified version. It has, you pretty much do a similar thing every day. They usually have a nice poem or something catchy for the children to sing or to repeat after you or learn. Then the children's activity lessons, this is a separate document as well. It goes through lots of different activities that the child can do during the, as they're learning the family Bible lesson. So it's tailored to that week. And so if I'm learning about Joseph, they're going to have pictures of Joseph. They're going to have activities to do with Joseph and puzzles or poems. And they also have great character building stories in there as well. And then the songs is going to, I'm going to show you the, so you'll have a memory verse every week, and they're going to give you the voice to that memory verse with the soundtrack, and also a soundtrack that just contains the music or the background. And then you can have a songbook for those who are musically inclined and play an instrument or piano. There's going to be a songbook in there that has the notes. And then the first grade language program, this would be where that child is starting to transition about 8 years old. It can be, you kind of assess your child for where they are. And so we already talked about how important language is and how much we are actually trying to develop self-learners. And that's the foremost research today, that even if you think about it in your own life, we tend to hire or work with people who are emotionally intelligent, have character, because then they're able to learn some of those skills. Many jobs that we have had in our past, we came onto the job with little knowledge, but because we were self-learners, because we took initiative, etc., we were able to excel through that. And so that's why characters is so important at the beginning. And so I'm going to stop sharing here, and I don't know if you can see my video anymore. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I think you can see. Sorry about that. Okay, now this book right here is the 10 Principles course. So don't get overwhelmed, because my printer, I actually cannot print on the back side, so it's all one page. So if you're able to print double-sided, you can actually, it doesn't have to look this thick. So it's only one-sided. So in the 10 Principles of True Education course, I'm going to show you from the drive how it looks. It really is a wonderful course. So within our ministry, True View Education Ministries, the first 2 years, which was 4 years ago or so, that we were together, we actually read through this entire series. We did it the first year, and then we felt like we needed to go through it again. And so we did it the second year all together. And so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. I'll show you about that, and then what I'll do is show you how you can also access what we did. Okay, so all right, so now we're back into the Sonlight curriculum drive, and we can see everything that we saw before, which is the folders at the top. We want to go inside this folder, which says 10 Principles of True Education. And so you're just going to double click on that, and you'll be able to gain access inside. So once you are inside, you're going to see all the 10 principles here. I don't know if you can still see my screen. So, when you're in here, you're going to see the PDF of the 10 principles. You're also going to see some folders at the top. Oh no, let's see. Let me see if I can go ahead and share my screen. Sorry about that. Okay, so once you are inside, you're going to see Counselor Yolanda's helps for the 10 Principles of True Education course. You can go inside here and you'll see some of the information, but I'm going to show you another way that you can get access, okay? At the end of our talk right now. So when you go inside Yolanda's helps, you're going to see some information about when we went over the 10 Principles of Education course. And none of that information is lost. You're going to be able to go through it if you choose to with Yolanda. All right, so we're going to go right to the 10 Principles course. So when you open it, this is the first main course, and after you pass the song, you're going to see here a training course. Now this course is designed for you as the parent to lay a foundation for understanding true education. Now what I want to do is I just want to go to the table of contents and see how it's laid out. It is very similar to the family Bible lesson in that they will have a Bible portion, they will connect it beautifully with nature, and so you're going to start to learn. I remember the first time that I started to learn about this, it was all very overwhelming. And it was the thoughts from Deuteronomy 6, verse 6 and 7, that we should be teaching our children. It sounded very informal, right? When you rise up, when you're walking by the way, when you lie down at night. And so it's like, how do you do this? And so they're going to teach you how to do this. And especially in the in class number 4, where it says illustrations, and coming up with those illustrations every day. You're going to start to think now, oh, how can I teach this child these certain principles as we're walking by the way and we see a leaf. Just this week, my son regurgitated to me something I taught him before about the leaf. So fall is here, and a lot of the leaves are falling down, and there's some brown leaves, and some of them are green. And you want to think, why is this green leaf falling down? And I made like a spiritual connotation, because sometimes we might look like we are healthy and whole, and you look at that green leaf and you say, wow, this is a perfectly suitable green leaf, but because it's disconnected from the source, is disconnected from the tree, it's not going to always stay like that, right? It's going to slowly die. And so we talked about staying connected, and so this year he kind of remembered some of the things that I taught him last year. So the beautiful thing about illustrations is that it's going to keep coming to you as you start to transition your mind towards always finding what God would want to share with you in nature. All right, so these are the 10 principles. This section right here, I would definitely tell you to go ahead and read over, because Mrs. Cook and her team did a really great job in not grabbing 10 principles from, where are these coming from? They actually come from the 10 principles of God, or the 10 commandments. And so, like the first one says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Well, the first principle of education is that God is the center of true education, and character building is the goal to be achieved. And all of these will go through and take the principle found in the commandments and then liken them to what you would want to find in your home as you're learning true education. So I admonish you to go through this section, and then that will correlate with the section in the book. All right, so there's lots that we can go through in the 10 principles course, but we're going to deepen that as you go through this course guide here and have more questions. I'll go ahead and show you the course that we offer. This is inside the 10 principles of true education course, and I think Yolanda shared the link, but I can go ahead and place this link in the chat. So this is where you would go if you wanted to follow the curriculum that we already did. And so it's completely free. You can just go to our website, trueviewedu.org. You'll see some courses there that you can access for free. And then you'll click on 10 Principles of True Education, and you'll see. And so once you get inside, you'll see that we went ahead and placed all the materials in there for you. The PDF is right there. And then all the different lessons that we went through together. And so once you click on inside, what we did was every morning at 7 a.m., just like today, we came on the line and we read it. And then once a week, Yolanda would come and she would summarize the lesson that we learned that week. And so all the way at the bottom, you will see the daily recordings. If you wanted to, you can go through it with us and you'll see all the daily recordings. We actually went through reading everything. Okay, and so that's available, because I know it's overwhelming just to do it by yourself, especially if you might not be used to this much content, or it's difficult for you to follow through on something, which it is sometimes for me. All right, so any thoughts on the 10 principles of true education. Any questions that you have, we're not going into the details of it, but just giving you a skeleton about what it looks like. And so any questions that you may have, you can unmute yourself or place it in the chat.
May I ask again? Sorry, this is me talking again. All this the PDF, is it in a link? I mean, is it all in a link that we can get it, or I mean, how do we open this? What you're showing? Are you going to share the link, or how it goes?
Okay, so let's go back. So if you were here at the beginning when we were at the website, we went to sonlightheducation.com. We clicked on the hyperlink curriculum, and that took you to another page within the website. And then you can click on another hyperlink that says Google Drive. Once you click on Google Drive, it will take you right into this site here, which is the Sonlight Education Drive in totality. And once you're inside there, you would go and look for this folder right here in the third column.
So basically I should go in Google and write Sonlight Education Ministry curriculum?
No, you would go to Google, you would type in sonlightheducation.com, or I can send you this link, and that way you'll have access to the Google Drive link directly, and then you save it. I hardly go back to the website because I save the drive on my desktop. So I'll go ahead and share that now.
Keep it.
Okay. All right. So we're going to see if we can move forward to, we'll end today at 8:30. If you do have to go, we are recording. And so we'll be able to, we'll be able to share that file. All right. So once you go inside the 10 Principles of True Education training course, you will see all those PDFs that you will use. And so you'll go right to the first one all the way to 10. There are some that have different sections. And so that's why it looks like it's more than 10. Like for instance, the section 7, it has 7A, 7B, 7C, where they go through books and then what to read, and then drama and dress. And so you'll be able to go through and navigate through that section. All right.
Thank you so much. If you could put it, do you have a WhatsApp?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time?
I was just asking if you have a WhatsApp group or something to share that, because I'm in a WhatsApp group in the UK, but I don't know is the same link that they use there, or is something new, or?
It should be the same exact link. We actually just started a WhatsApp group. However, the WhatsApp group that we started is directly related to the course, the only course that we're running right now, which is our Adventist Home Practicum and Fall Bootcamp course. And so we have a WhatsApp group specifically for that, that course. And so that might be an opportunity in the future to open it up for more, because we've been having some rich discussions. And so maybe look forward to that. But we do have a Google group where we send emails back and forth. And so if you are able to go inside trueviewedu.org, you'll be able to access our courses. Once you go into any one of our courses, you're going to see how to get into the email group. And from the email group, you can ask questions. A lot of moms and there's some fathers too. They'll respond to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, so we're going to continue here, and I'm going to come out of here and go into our family Bible lessons. Now, I'm going to go back so that you can see So up here, it usually tells you where you are. If you can see my mouse kind of highlighting, you can see that I'm all the way in year 1, quarter 1 of the Family Bible Lessons, which doesn't tell you much. So I'm going to go back out so you can see. So I'm going to go back to here and go to my main drive, Sonlight Education Ministry Curriculum. And that way you'll see how did we get there. So now we're in the main drive and
Sandy,
yes, can you hear me?
sorry. Before you continue, can you reshare your screen, please?
Oh, yes.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Okay, now you should be able to see my screen. Okay, so we are in the main Sonlight Education Ministry Google Drive, and you should be able to see the Family Bible Lessons highlighted. We're going to go ahead and double click inside there. Once you click inside the Family Bible Lessons, you're going to gain access to all 3 years of the Family Bible Lessons. Each year has 4 quarters. So it's going to take you through year 1, quarter 1, year 1, quarter 2, year 1, quarter 3, year 1, quarter 4, year 2, quarter 1, and so forth, all the way through. And so you'll be able to find yourself very quickly through these. There is a resource that you can print that shows all of the courses for all 3 years, listed out by, I'll see if I can show you here. I have it on my wall. Let's see. I don't know if you can see my video here. Let me see if I can spotlight myself. Okay, so if you can see this, this is in the drive. Someone took the time to just give you a synopsis of all the years, and so you can go through it that way. And so they'll give you they'll give you basically a snapshot of the whole time frame. I'm sorry, I'm not doing a very good job of showing you that here. Okay, so you'll be able to see the character quality, your memory verse, and the nature study right at a glance. All right, so that's available in the drive to be able to print. Now, while I'm pulling back up our screen, we're going to be able to see that it can be a lot of printing, which is why some people are asking for it to be printed. If you do have a reasonable printer, you might be able to find ink like on Amazon or another place that might be cheaper and print them out. And what I did is I just got like a simple, cheap, I think it was like $50 comb binding machine. And I probably don't have the best one, but if you can look at my Family Bible Lessons, I just did it and put in a comb binding. And so you might be able to look for like a comb binding machine, and then I just laminated the front. And so you can get a laminating machine for a pretty good price today, maybe under $20 or under sometimes. And so you can do that if you'd like and print it out. Some people just pull it up on their device and read it from there, and that's however best it suits you, you can do that. And one of the things that is really good is if you just divide the sections. I just put a color in there, and that kind of helps you to flow through and not look like a sea of white. And so you can divide it and be able to go through and know which section you're going in. And obviously you can just use, a paper clip too. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what the Family Bible Lessons would typically look like. So I'll go ahead and share the desktop now. We're just going to go into year 1 and quarter 1. So once I click on year 1, you're going to open it up. You're going to see 4 PDF files. These are what we addressed before. The children's activities that has coloring, poems, character building stories and puzzles. All of that is in this children activities, and you can open that and be able to access it. There's also going to be the main family Bible lessons that I'm going to show you what it looks like. And then you're going to see a folder right here that says Year 1, Quarter 1, Memory Verse Song Book, which will tell you how to play the music that you hear. You will hear that music from this folder in here that says Year 1, Quarter 1, Memory Verse Songs. And then you'll be able to listen to it and learn your memory verse for that week. And every week you'll have a new memory verse. This folder right beside it is the soundtrack. It just has the background music to the song. Okay, so, and then this is the little children's activity, I'm sorry, not activity, but Bible lesson. And so it's basically the same. I'll show it to you now. So we are in Family Bible Lessons for Year 1, Quarter 1. It will take you from creation all the way to Abraham and Isaac. And they'll usually have a Bible verse for the nature lesson right at the first page. And this lesson, as you can see, is going to be all about trees. You're going to learn a lot about it. This instruction is routine. It will tell you all about how to use the Family Bible Lessons and the different sections that are here in bold. It will tell you this is how we're going to flow through the Family Bible Lessons every day. All right, so now we're in the table of contents. We're going to be able to see, we're going to start with creation. Our character quality is orderliness, and our nature section is what is a tree. And so we're going to start there on page 1. This just gives you an overview of the 3-year schedule by the nature studies that you'll be doing. Okay, so now we're at the first page, and this is our snapshot page for the week. You're going to be kind of floating back to this page every day to go over your memory verse. I don't know if my screen just went. Can you still see my screen?
No, it's blank.
Okay, let me see if I can screen share again. I'm sorry about that. Okay, can you see my screen?
No.
Okay, let's see. Let me stop sharing again and then try to share one more time. Okay, how about now?
I see a glass of water. Is that what you're sharing?
A glass of water. No, no, I'm not.
Oh, no, that was somebody else's. Sorry. Okay,
Oh,
now
okay.
it says your screen sharing now. So it's
Okay.
loading.
Okay.
Okay, it's up now.
Okay.
Someone's
All right. So we're now looking at the snapshot page of the Family Bible Lessons. And what you're going to see is the character quality for the week, which this week we are studying creation. And so our character quality is orderliness. And it will give you a definition for orderliness. It will also give you a memory verse for order. And then we're going to be wrapping this character quality through the whole week. And so we're going to teach this as we're teaching creation. Our memory verse is Genesis 1, verse 1. And these are the Bible verses that we're going to go through to cover this week. And so this parent study will take you through the conflict series. And so this first one is telling you patriarchs and prophets, page 44 to 47. And looking through nature, it's going to tell you for the days of the week, all 6 days that we'll be learning. On the 7th day, on the Sabbath, that will be like your review day. There won't be any content necessarily. And so you're going to go through this every day. So let's go down and just take a look. Okay, so on day 1, you would go ahead and read this section under research. Now, sometimes it's only 1 page. Sometimes it might be a little bit longer, and you're going to be able to discern how much content you might need to read for that day. And so I know for sure, like this first day is typically, this is a longer day because they're covering a lot of information. And so you would go through that research section, you'd read through that, and then there's going to be a nature section that is going to talk about trees, and they do a wonderful job of connecting it with the story for the day. And so you'll just go through that, and there's usually 3 questions that you'll review, and you'll answer those 3 questions with your children. Now, after you finish the nature lesson, you're going to have a section that gives you some reminders, which you can look through and see if there's anything that you might be able to do with your family for that week as a kind of a guide for helping you to teach order and creation. And then this reinforced section is really just teaching you how to keep that topic in the minds of your children throughout the week. And then remarkable parent food. Do not skip this part. This always gives you a really great summation of the story and something for you to think about. And so this is specifically for the parents. Sometimes I even read it to my children because it's really good. And then you'd float on to day 2 on the second day of the week. All right, so that's an overview of the family Bible lessons, and our time is really short. And so does anyone have any questions about that so far? So,
I have a question.
Yes.
Roughly, how long do we have to spend in doing these classes? Like, let's say if I start with the Bible class, or the Bible lesson.
There's someone that needs to mute. If you're not,
Hold on, Sandy, let me mute all the lines. So whoever's speaking, I'm going to mute everyone. You please unmute and ask your question again. 1 second. Okay, go ahead. Please unmute and ask your question again. We weren't able to hear you.
Okay. What I wanted to know is roughly how long would I do this? Like if I do it every day, what would be the maximum time to do it? Is any time limit, or I just decide for how long I do it?
Is your question specifically for how long you should be doing the family Bible lesson?
Yes and no, but yes, in this particular, yes. Like for how long do I do this? Because I know that we have to divide time to do some other subjects, right? So how long would be the maximum to do this?
Okay, Sandy, you want to answer that, or you want me to answer?
You can answer, Yolanda.
So it will depend on the ages of your children and for what purpose you're using the family Bible lesson. So if your children are 3, 4, 5, you don't want to spend more than an hour, and you're just going to go through the lesson. I personally would do the Bible lesson as one portion, and then the nature lesson I would do separately outside. If you're studying the trees, whatever you're studying, you're going to go outside and you're actually going to be studying nature where you are in it. So if you're doing younger children, you're going to separate the lesson and go through it. If you're using this for a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old who's not quite old enough for the 2 through 8 lessons, but you want something a little more meaty, then now you're going to spend a little more time because you're going more in depth. Maybe you're going over some vocabulary words and you're pulling things out of the lesson that you'll actually be using this for your school lesson, but it'll be kind of condensed because they're not really ready for school per se, but they're always in school from before they're born until the time they start the 2 through 8 lessons. So when we say that we don't school until ages 8 to 10, what that means is that we don't sit at the table for long periods of time and go through work and write and do all of that stuff. But we absolutely are having school. We're learning vocabulary words. We're just doing it by word of mouth. Maybe we're putting some index cards on the refrigerator. Today's word is trunk because we're learning about the tree, right? So we're going to learn how to spell trunk, T-R-U-N-K. Now, we're not going to give a quiz to the child because they're little, but you'd be surprised when your 3-year-old comes in the kitchen and says trunk, T-R-U-N-K, right? Because you've been spelling it all week. And so guess what? They're learning spelling, they're learning nature. And so you're just doing it every day as a part of school. So to answer your question, it will depend on the engagement of your child. But for the most part, you want to integrate this study as a part of your life. We're not sitting down having school, but we are spending some time to go through the Bible lesson. When my children were, I don't know, I guess my daughter was about 5 or 6, I made a felt board. I got a really big box in the mail and I went to the store and bought some felt and covered it and made a felt board. And so we went through the Bible stories with the felts. And so you just kind of want to bring it to life for whatever age your children are. So let us know if that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. And I will say that my children, they're 6 and 2, so they're younger. And for the family Bible lessons, we try to stay like within 10 to 15 minutes because they're young. And so, and sometimes I have to gauge it. You know, you might have a day where they're not really as focused. And so I'll pull out like the things that I want them to learn, and I'll ask them questions about it and make it more engaging for them. And so you kind of, you're going to be kind of watching your audience, right, and seeing what they are, what they're needing. Okay, so right before it seems like what we might have to do is do part 2, where we would go through the rest of the 2 through 8 program. Since we are out of time, and you can go through the drive and kind of get familiar with it, with this family Bible lesson section, and maybe we can meet in the future and kind of go over the rest. What are you thinking about that, Yolanda?
Yes, absolutely. The 2 through 8 lessons, I don't think I've ever gone through it with anyone in less than an hour, hour and a half. It just takes time to go through it and give the person time to kind of wrap their mind around it and ask any questions. So we'll spend an entire session just on the 2 through 8 lessons. If you guys have other questions that you want us to answer, please send them to us. Just let us know and we will cover those. But next Friday, we will meet again at the same time, 7 a.m. We will record it for those that aren't able to make it at that time. I realize that some of you are on the other side of the world, so who knows what time it is. But just let us know what questions you have, and I will cover how the 2 through 8 lessons work, and how you can get started on them. And like Sandy said, please go ahead and look in the drive and kind of just familiarize yourself with it. But I will take you we'll go directly from the website, how to access the 2 through 8 lessons, and exactly from the beginning, how to get started with them. So that'll be next Friday at 7 a.m. So.
Wonderful. Yes. And so, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, Sandy. Yolanda, could you please explain where someone can find the recording?
I will post a recording to the True View Ministries email group. I think most people are in there. I've already added about 4 people from today to the group. If you are not in the group, then let me know. I will send, and I'll probably also, where else could I post it? In the Teachable? You guys think of another place I can post a recording? I don't know. I didn't even think about where we should post a recording, but I will, anyone who wants to be added to the email group, I will send an initial email to the email group. And by the time we meet next time, we'll probably create a course in the Teachable for this and put all the links there so you can easily access them. I will post it to the WhatsApp group, but the WhatsApp group is for the boot camp. So I know only a few of you are in there. But yeah, I will definitely post it to the main email group. And then by the time we meet again, we'll create a Teachable link, and then the recordings will be posted there for easy access for you to go back. So by the time you come next week, we'll have an easy place for you to go. You'll have to register for the class. It won't cost anything, but you will have to register in order to access. We'll post Sandy's PowerPoint if she's okay with that, and whatever information we cover, we'll just post it all there, and then there'll just be one place that you can go to find everything that you need.
Yes, and just to add to what has been said, I hope you can take the time this week before we meet again on Friday to familiarize yourself with the Google Drive. One thing I did is I used the roadmap. I figured out which section was relevant to me. I looked at the resources that it had shown that I needed to use, then went to the Google Drive and opened up those resources and saved them and organized them in my computer. So that process just kind of reinforced in my mind what resources were available, how they looked like, what was needed. At that time, I wasn't reading anything. I was just kind of organizing the information in my mind, and that exercise was very helpful. So for you who are not familiar with the Google Drive, I would suggest just spend some time in there and look at what's in it. And there's a lot. It seems overwhelming at first, but it's really well organized and very simple to find stuff.
Yes, very true. And if you can think about like other things in your life that at first it just felt like I'm just never going to get this. And then you just kind of saturate yourself in that world, and you will start to pick up on things. At first, you might just get like a broad swath, and then you start to be able to, oh, okay, I know where to place things. And so having that overview and highlight, it gives you a place to start to put things in now. And so hopefully that is what we did for you today, and we'll look forward to meeting again next week. All right, so we'll go over the rest of our PowerPoint next week, and then any questions that you have. Before we close today though, are there any other questions that you may have?
There's a question in the chat. Is it possible to plan a class meeting to study the 10 principles? So we've studied the 10 principles 2 years in a row. So we definitely won't be going through that again. You can sign up for the Teachable course that has all of the recordings. It has the calendars. It has every single recording that we went through for probably about 8 months. So if you want to go through that at your own pace, you're certainly welcome to do that. But it's not likely that we will revisit that because we did that for 2 years in a row. And then we did child guidance. We just finished Adventist Home. And so all of the recordings, the calendars, everything that we used is in the Teachable, and you can sign up for that and have access to all of the information that we have posted there. All right, and I am still seeing emails come through. Okay, I'm gonna add all of them. Okay, guys, we are gonna have to in this because I have a student. I was supposed to have a student this morning, bless his heart, I completely forgot about him. And so I asked him to move back to 9, and he graciously assisted me. And I was like, I have to meet him on Zoom, so I can't meet him because we're using the Zoom account. But anyway, all is well, and so I will be meeting him at 9 a.m.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining, and we'll meet again next week. We'll go ahead and pray and close out. Yolanda, would you like to pray for us?
Yeah, sure. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this wonderful opportunity to get started on learning about this heaven-sent curriculum that has been given to us. And so, Lord, I lift up each family that is represented here, those who came today, those who will watch the recording, that you would begin to work in their hearts and minds to help them to understand. Lord, we realize that this is a new way of thinking. It's not even close to what the world offers. And so help us all as we're on our journey to understand the education that you have ordained, which is simple yet profound. And so, Lord, as each family dives into getting their homes in order, their schools in order, and as they seek to have the characters of their children reflect the characters of Christ, we just ask that you would work in our hearts, Lord, that Jesus Christ might be lifted up in our hearts, and that our children might see his pure reflection and be drawn to his purity and his glory. Be with us until we meet again on next time. Begin to expand our minds so we can understand the 2 through 8 lessons and not be overwhelmed or discouraged, but to be encouraged because you have loved us enough to give us that which is meat for our souls. And we just pray that in the end, Lord, our efforts will not have been in vain, but that we and our entire families will be found faithful when Jesus comes to take us home. This is our prayer in his precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, there's a question. If you do more classes, how do we know? I will send an email to the main group. Sandy will likely create a beautiful flyer for us. And then either she or I will post that flyer to the main group. So I'm adding everyone that I see messages for, emails for to the group. So you will get a message. If you don't hear anything by, in a few days, email me. I think most of you on here have me on WhatsApp. My email is yolandamarie73@gmail.com. So if you're watching this later and you want to get added to the email group, send me an email and I will add you to the group. All right? All right, guys, I'm going to stay on here for a few minutes because I need to get all these emails. So, okay. Let me add everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you for coming.
Bye. Happy Sabbath.
Thank you so much.
Sabbath.
Thank you so much. Happy Sabbath.
Thank you. Have a wonderful Sabbath. God bless.
And there's a man here.
Bye, Sandy.
Bye, Maria. Mota.
Oh, I know that. I recognize that voice. Hey, Maria.
Bye,
that
Yolanda.
sultry voice.
Bye, Yolanda. Bye.
Bye. I'm still adding emails. Hold on.
Bye, ladies. Thank you very much. Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye.
All right, let me check one more time and make sure. One email.